Welcome back to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast for Burnout Sports and the Marion Phoenix. We have a very interesting show today. Sorry, guys, we took a little bit of a bye week. We haven't taken a week off since we started the show, but I think me and Jay really needed one. And
that was. I feel refreshed.
I feel as the same, very refreshed. I mean, hey, we just started classes this week, so getting back to the whole grind as it was before. So it's gonna be great. As you can see, guys, Daniel Chaney, he is not on your screen today, and you don't hear his voice. Man's got COVID, so he's gonna be he'll hopefully be back next week, but gonna take a nice slow recovery for Daniel. But in my opinion, we have an upgrade. Our media dad, Tony Donohue. How are you doing today, man?
You don't tell Daniel that. He might be upset. No, I'm good. Weekend of racing. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, guys, we're going to talk all about Watkins Glen. Going to talk about the wackiness that was that finish, the rain, the teammate battle at the end. And we're also going to talk about Gateway. We're going to talk all about the Malukas Mania and Joseph Newgarden getting his 5th win of the season. It's going to be incredible. Let's go ahead and transition into race weekend. All right, guys, let's go ahead and start with race weekend. So, Indy Lights, let's talk about the winner. Matt Brabham gets his first win since the beginning of the season. Now, Linus Lundqvist dominated this race, Tony. You were in there. You were there in person. 71 out of the 75 laps led by Linus. Matt tracked him down. Just talk about Brabham's road to success there.
And it's tough to pass a Gateway, especially during the day. I mean, we kind of learned that in the IndyCar race later on that day where, you know, that first 100 or whatever, 150 laps it was before the rain delay came out, there was no passing in IndyCar. And that was pretty much the same. Brabham was charging late, and you thought, okay, when he gets to him, what's going to happen? Because remember, these two guys tangled a few weeks ago at Iowa on the oval. That resulted in Linus getting disqualified, basically, and they took the win away from him for pinching Brabham off coming off of turn 2. And Brabham got to him, got around him quickly. It didn't take long at all. You know, we always talk about sometimes it's easy to get to a guy. It's difficult to get around him. But Brabham made the pass, got it done easily, and really pulled away to a pretty big finish if you think about, you know, him only leading the last, 4 or 5 laps there and his margin of victory. So, yeah, nice to see Matty Brabham back in victory circle. Benjamin Peterson, who we know is probably going to go to IndyCar next year and pilot that number 14 car for AJ Foyt Racing, had a podium. I believe that's his first on the season, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, he's had kind of a slow year, so good to see him get a podium.
Yeah, so, and then especially on an oval because, you know, you get enough experience on road and street courses where, you know, guys can close that gap quickly. But good to see him get a podium on an oval finish. But again, Matt Brabham, you know, you and I, guys, we've talked about him. I talked about him on my show. You don't see it that often where a guy says, all right, I've went and ran the Indy 500. Hell, I've won in the Stadium Super Truck Series. But I'm going to go back to Indy Lights. I want to eventually get back to IndyCar. I'm going to go back to Indy Lights, which nobody really does. I mean, I don't remember anybody going back after going to run anything in IndyCar, whether it was only one race or not, and then go back to the Lights Series. So kudos to Matty Brabham to getting his feet back wet with Andretti Autosport. He's piloted that 83 car to 2 wins. Tristan, as you mentioned, St. Pete, and now this race. The championship is probably more than likely already decided, but good to see Brabham get 2 wins, and we'll see what the future brings for him.
I personally think Matt Brabham's journey kind of reminds me of John Hunter Nemechek in NASCAR because JHN got the cup in NASCAR and he was with Front Row and they kind of went nowhere with him there. And so he just hopped back down the trucks and he's kind of working his way back through now. I see him in Xfinity maybe like full-time next season somewhere, or maybe in the next season after. But I hope he gets back to cup. So, but yeah, I compared them two a lot. Like just thinking about Matt Brabham and John Hunter Nemechek, I think about them two a lot. And I think he also should have won the Iowa race if I remember correctly, because didn't he get pinched off?
He should have.
Yeah, so he should have 3.
And he definitely had the best car at Iowa. Was charging, and you know, just the incident that took place, and Linus said his spotter didn't clear him. You know, of course, the driver's probably going to say that when they know it's on them. But again, great. It was a good race. You know, Lights goes to Portland here a couple weeks. It was a great time at Gateway because you had USF 2000 as well. So you had plenty of action going on that 1.25 mile track.
Yep.
Yeah, I love always getting to see the short track, as IndyCar likes to call it, Iowa and Gateway being those short tracks there. But I feel like, yeah, as you mentioned, you don't see a lot of drivers going back down to the lights. The only one I can remember really off the top of my head, nowhere to the talent level of Matt Brabham, would probably be John Herb. But that's a
I thought we forgot about him.
Yeah, we did forget about him. The only reason I really know about who he is because of shout out Darian Gilliam, Black Flags Matter. He made a video about John Herb a couple of weeks ago. Yep. So I got to learn all about him. So go check out that video, guys. It's a really good one. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to IndyCar. Now this race, I'm not going to lie, Tony, you were there. The first 75% of this race, in my opinion, was the worst race of the season. It was, by any means, it was a total snooze fest. But after then the rain came, we sat for 2 hours, and then, in my opinion, the last 38 laps of this race, or 37, however many left there were, was the best racing I've seen all year on ovals from an IndyCar. And Tony, just talk about the difference between the track being during the day, the first, 80% of the race during the day, and the final 20% at night.
Yeah, I think there was 44 laps to go when the yellow came out or the red flag came out, and then obviously it was about a 40-lap shootout there towards the end. So here's the problem is you run a practice session with one car per team on Friday to rubber in that second lane, kind of like they did at Texas, to say, all right, we're going to make this at least a 2-groove racetrack or 1.5. And all the drivers that I talked to on Friday said 2 is probably not going to happen, but 1.5, so we can just dip those right side tires up onto that and have some grip to be able to make some passes. Because we saw this, I was at the race there in 2020 during the pandemic, and it was the leaders would come up on lap cars and couldn't even get around them because it was just so tough to pass with that aero screen. The problem was, what Graham Rahal told me on Friday was, we did that practice where everybody was running that top lane to rubber it in, and then when it was a full skate and everybody else got to go back out, everybody went back down to that lower line, and that didn't really do much for that second line. And then obviously the rains came during the day Saturday, a little bit overnight on Friday, kind of washed that away. But look, when the track cools down, 9 out of every 10 drivers out there's cars got better, a little bit more grip, not quite as slick. And that really made for some good racing. And it was crazy because you think about right before that red flag came out, Joseph's stint, where he was a full straightaway ahead of the rest of the field. Pato kind of jumped it there and was leading for a minute. But, something else that wasn't really talked about as much was there was some inconsistency in those Firestone tires. I mean, there was drivers that, obviously Joseph had one hell of a set there when he pulled away from the entire field. Then obviously when they pit, it was a different set of tires. So maybe a little bit of inconsistency there. And Firestone does a great job, don't get me wrong, and that's going to happen, right? There's going to be – it's never going to be perfect, and I think Firestone does a great job. But, yeah, and then once it got under the lights for that 40-lap shootout, and there was a little bit of a sense of urgency, and we saw drivers going to the high line, and, Joseph went right after McLaughlin there, right on the restart to get around him, and then kind of set sail for a while, and all of a sudden, Malukas was coming alive, and we knew that him and Takuma Sato at Dale Coyne and HMB had great cars this weekend. Obviously, when you come home third and fifth, you have good cars. Second and fourth. Malukas was second, Sato was fourth. Sato gets around McLaughlin, and I think McLaughlin kind of knew, look, I mean, this he's on it. I'm gonna not fight too hard for that spot, like he said. And then, honestly, guys, I don't know what you thought, but Five laps for sure.
I said 2.
Yeah, I think 2.
For sure he would have got him. 2 laps he would have got to him. So I think we all kind of wish maybe that was a 270-lap race except for Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That ending of that race. The thing that I thought was crazy is that he said it in his post-race interviews. He didn't try the top until 5 laps to go. He tried the top and then immediately got to the back of McLaughlin. On the final lap, on that final straightaway, he gets to him, gets past him, and then as he's coming around the final 2 corners, he's within 2 car lengths of the 2 car. We haven't seen that power from Dale Coyne all season. On ovals, we've seen them in the past be incredible. Obviously, last season, with all their success with Romain Grosjean, on this track actually. So it was great to see that 18 car do well, and I think David Malukas made a lot of fans this weekend. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I
Friend of
think
the show. We were happy for him.
he just got verified on Twitter, right? Like Rosenquist
Yeah.
got verified, and I mean, he was trending, right? I mean, this is a kid that is very well spoken. You guys know him very well. We've all spent time with them. From the state of Illinois, obviously different sides of the state, but still in his home state. He had a lot of family there. His parents are there. I posted that video that I know you guys saw of everybody congratulating him. But yeah, it just shows the talent level in IndyCar, right? That's 2 rookies we've had on podiums this year. They both came in 2 of the last 4 races with Lundgaard at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Malukas now is 11 points back of Lundgaard for that rookie battle. So that's a cool battle to watch throughout the last 2 races of the season as well. But yeah, I kind of hinted at this a few weeks ago that, we still don't know what's going to happen with Palou and who's going to go where. But David Malukas to the 10 car just seems to be making more and more sense. Now that he's proven that he can finish a race and be there and get the most out of a race car. We saw Kevin Simpson, who is the Chip Ganassi development driver, slide on over to HMD Motorsports in the Indy Lights series. Maybe there's some kind of deal there with Honda, maybe some kind of technical alliance like Andretti and Meyer-Shank had for many years. Not saying it's going to happen, but guys, it just keeps making more and more sense for 2023.
I could see
it makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, Jay.
I could see it happening. And I got a question for you, Tony. And it goes kind of back to talking about the track and the racing. So do they run the same tire compound from the 500 on the Iowa and Milwaukee? Or not Milwaukee, Gateway, sorry.
So Indy is just its own different beast, because you're talking higher speeds, but the tire is very similar, if not exactly the same, to what they ran at Iowa.
Right.
I think there were some inconsistencies there as well. Yeah. And here's what people don't really understand or really know: there is a rubber shortage in the world right now for everybody. I mean, USAC drivers. I know of many sprint car drivers that are like, "Oh, well, we're racing tomorrow night. We're not going to run." More than one set of tires tonight because we simply can't get tires. So there's a lot to do with that kind of behind the scenes. And look, like I said, Firestone's been great, but it's the same that they ran at Iowa. Obviously, you can adjust pressures and such. And but man, you would just Graham said it a few times. And back to your Malukas thing too. He said on Friday he was afraid to try the top. He didn't want to go up there. Even after they rubbered it in, he's like, I don't want to go up there. I don't want to be the rookie that goes up there and ends up in a wall and ruins a pretty fast race car. So
doesn't want to be like Devlin at Texas.
Yeah. I think Malukas, if you were to ask him what's the one thing that you would have done differently on Saturday night, gone on the high line with about 10 or 15 to go. So maybe that would have worn his tires off a little bit more. Maybe that's why he was so hesitant to do it at first. But what a hell of a run for the 18 car. I know you guys are close with him and enjoyed that. So, I've been preaching it all year, just how great the talent level is in IndyCar. I mean, even Devlin had a pretty good day.
Oh, yeah.
Qualified
10 speed.
And kept it clean. We know Ilot's had a good year. Lundgaard's been kind of coming on a charge here as of late. So, Kirkwood, I mean, I talked about this at the beginning of the year. I said, here's the problem with Kirkwood is he is way better than the car that is underneath him. So he's going to push it too hard and things are going to happen. So, the 2 things that I'm looking forward to most that intrigue me for 2023 right now, obviously the Palou situation will already be settled by the time we get to St. Pete. But what can Scott McLaughlin do now that he has 2 years underneath his belt, and has 2 Indy 500s underneath his belt? And, what Kyle Kirkwood can do in that number 27 Honda next year for Andretti Autosport.
Yep. Going to be absolutely insane. And Jay, I know how you always love to have my little sound bites. Here's my little take on the Malukas situation. David Malukas is the next Joseph Newgarden. And if he goes to that 10 car, he's going to be a championship contender in the next 2 years. I guarantee it. Okay. He has raw speed on road courses. He finishes in 10th to 15th in Dale Coyne Racing equipment. And on the ovals, you immediately put him into a top 5 podium contender. If you put him in that 10 car, it's going to be like how Newgarden was when he went from when he hit ECR and was winning races in ECR, got into Penske, immediately won championships.
And what I think is crazy about this is you look at Meyershank. You can look at some other drivers that are joining a team for the first time or maybe their second year. Pagano told me back in April, like, look, we've got a couple of races under our belt, but we're still all getting to know each other. And how difficult it is to join a new team and have results immediately. Jack Harvey, that's not been happening. Even Sato in the 51, outside of his run on Saturday night, hasn't been happening. But yet David Malukas is in this car, knows what he has, and he's making the most of it. So it's kind of like, all right, these veteran guys like Harvey and even Pagano that are moving over to a team for the first time that are having problems finding that momentum. It's like, yeah, well, Lucas might not have the results that he should have based on what he's been able to drive. I mean, you go back to how good he was at Mid-Ohio. Obviously, he was in a very consistent month at Indy. Yes, he had his accident on carb day, but he still kept it clean in the race. And Newgarden said it best. Like, he's one of the best rookies that he's seen. He races almost too clean and too respectful. So I think you're right, Tristan. There's a lot of guys in the paddock that are race drivers or team owners that don't want to see Malukas over in that 10 car.
I got to say, I feel like, especially with this current crop of rookies we have, they're like, especially with just new talent coming up in general, like, a lot of these guys are very adaptable. They know how to adapt to a car, especially Colin Milot and running with Hugo Hollinger. Like, looking at him, because I talked about this with Derek on Push the Pass podcast. I talked to him about Callum a little bit after Mid-Ohio, and he's been talking to me. He's like, what do you think about Callum? Like, what's your opinions on him? And I was like, Callum is just a great driver. He can handle anything you throw at him. And that's what I feel like a lot of these younger drivers can do nowadays. And I don't know. I mean, I think that's where a lot of it comes into play for Malukas is he's very adaptable and he learns fast. So that's what is projecting him into these great finishes and great results. So.
And real quick to that point, I've talked to many people that are in lights or have been in lights recently. The lights car is the toughest car. Well, the F2000 car is probably the toughest car to drive because it's just a race car. There's not as much electronics and technology that go into it.
Yeah.
But I've heard from so many people that said the Indy Lights car is so much tougher to drive. That's why you see these guys from Indy Lights that, wrestled a car last year and it was different. The transition is a little bit easier, and it's been proven year in and year out. There's always a rookie or two competing. A rookie or two that came up from lights competing for good positions throughout an entire season. And, we've seen that so far this year with Malukas. We've even seen flashes from Kyle Kirkwood, Ilott, as mentioned. Even Devlin's had some good flashes of I deserve to be here. And I know he gets a lot of crap from a lot of people, but he's even had flashes of like, okay, this guy can get out and drive a race car. He can get out and get it done. And look, if you make it to this point, as you guys know, it's not like you just woke up and said 2 years ago, I'm going to go run IndyCar and, daddy's got money or whatever. No, these guys they've all won. They've all accomplished something in their racing career to get to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and go through the top 10 from IndyCar at Gateway. Joseph Newgarden, we really didn't talk about him because of the Malukas mania that we have over here. But Joseph Newgarden just won his 5th damn race of the season, and he's looking like 2019 Joseph Newgarden, 2020 Joseph Newgarden.
My preseason championship pick. I'm just saying.
That's true. Jay's preseason championship pick.
Career, 25th one of his career. Think about that. I mean, that's half of what Scott Dixon has done, give or take one or two. But to have 25 wins at the age of 30, 31 years old, not going.
He's only been in IndyCar since 2014. I mean, like, he's going to go down as one of the greatest drivers in IndyCar history, and
definitely scary to think about what he can still accomplish throughout the rest of his life. In IndyCar, I would imagine that he stays here in the best top tier equipment. I don't know. Maybe NASCAR comes a call on. I can't maybe see that happening anytime soon. But yeah, it's been a feast or famine year for him. That's why he's not dominating the points right now. But 5 wins is an incredible mark, and he could literally still win his 6th or 7th race of the season. So I think we kind of forget just how great this guy is and how awesome he is. And he said in the press conference, I'm just worried about winning right now. I just want to go out and win the damn race every time out. So when Joseph's hot like that, he's got that fire inside of him. Look out for him over the last 2 races.
Yeah, we could see a scary third championship in the making for Joseph Newgarden. But as we mentioned, he gets his 5th win. David Malukas, second, his first podium of his young career. Third, Scott McLaughlin, a 5th podium this season for Scott McLaughlin. He's having a career year. Great to see. 4th place, and a very quiet 4th place for Pato O'Ward. 5th place to Kumasato, his best run for Dale Coyne Racing and Rick Ware Racing. Will Power brings it home 6th. Marcus Ericsson 7th. Scott Dixon 8th. 9th place goes to Alex Palou. 10th, Graham Rahal. 11th place was Colton Herta. 12th place was Devlin DeFrancesco, his best run of the season by far. I thought Devlin was for sure going to get a top 10. He fell a little bit near when it hit the dark. He fell a little bit. But Devlin brings it home 12th. 13, Romain Grosjean. 14th was Jimmy Johnson. Solid run for Jimmy, I would say. 15th, Elio Castroneves. 16th was Felix Rosenquist. 17th, Kyle Kirkwood. 18th, 18th, Dalton Kellett. 19th, Christian Lundgaard. 20th, Simon Pagenaud. 21st, Callum Ilott. 22nd, Ed Carpenter. 23rd was Connor Daly. And 24th, 25th, and 26th, Jack Harvey, Alexander Rossi, and Rinus VeeKay. All three had issues on the track. Rinus VeeKay hit the wall on the first lap of the race. His car was never the same. Rossi had electrical issues, and Harvey got into the wall late in this race. So they all finished multiple laps down. That's the entire field, guys, for IndyCar. 2 weeks left. Let's go ahead and read through the championship because this is a close championship. They were mentioning it all through the NASCAR race. Let's go ahead and check out these standings. Will Power still sits on top. 3 points behind him, though, is Joseph Newgarden. 1 win compared to 5 wins. Consistency versus all or nothing. It's going to come down, I think, to these two guys. But right there in third, Scott Dixon. And right there in fourth, Marcus Ericsson. And I think anyone in that top 4 is a guarantee for a champion. I think the champion's in one of those top 4. But you look down for 5th, 6th, and 7th, Alex Palou, Scott McLaughlin, and Pato O'Ward. You could see maybe one of them making a push. I don't really think we see the champion out of them. Then the final 3 in the top 10, Felix Rosenquist, Alexander Rossi, and Colton Herta. At this point right now, who's your championship pick? I'll start with Tony.
You know, first I want to go back and just mention Pato O'Ward real quick, how great he's been on ovals. He's scored the most points. I think his average finish right now at Gateway is like a 2.9 with what he came home with on Saturday night. So you think about a guy that you would say, oh, yeah, road and street courses, maybe he'll figure out the ovals. He's definitely figured out the ovals. I don't think he's winning the championship, as you mentioned, Tristan. Joseph's hot. I mean, Joseph is hot right now. We kind of saw Dixon go on a little bit of a charge, and you can never count out Dixon when he's within 20 to 25 points of striking distance. I will say this. I think it's between Newgarden and Dixon. Power, there's just something about Will Power that always seems to bite him when needed, or when not needed, I'm sorry. So to be interesting to see. But guys, turn 1 going into Portland. Go back and watch all the previous races. I mean, Dixon.
The Portland pile up.
You asked me to make my pick. I've been riding the Dixon train for the last several weeks before the Toronto race. I think it's between him and Joseph, and they haven't been the greatest at Portland and Laguna Seca, so we're gonna have to see. But right now, I think the smart pick is Joseph Newgarden.
Jay?
I think it's a 3-horse race between Dixon, Power, and Newgarden. Now, I know Dixon's kind of come alive here recently. He's starting to gain some momentum, and hopefully CGR can get him up there at the end of these last 2 races to get him maybe a win or just some decent points finishes, and maybe they hope for Newgarden or Power to kind of fall off these last 2 races or something. But I think the smart pick here is Newgarden because I got to go with the preseason pick. I'm got to stay consistent. That's all I got to say. But Power, I know Power hasn't had a striking number of wins this season, but he's had great results and consistent results. And that's the one thing he's had all season is that he is consistent this season. So with him being as consistent as he is, he's another one. But I go with Newgarden. I think Newgarden is on a tear right now, and I think he's going to take home the championship.
However, at the same time, I feel like a lot of people are forgetting how good a certain guy that's top 5 in points is great at Portland and is great at Laguna Seca, and that guy is the number 8 of Marcus Ericsson. You cannot count this guy out. Sure, only one win on the season. It was the Indianapolis 500, though. This guy has had the most consistent season of his career, and he reminds me a lot of Will Power in that sense. He doesn't win a whole lot, but he is there all the time. Marcus Ericsson finished 5th in the championship last season because he was so consistent the final 2 weeks of the year. I think we see a possibility that Marcus Ericsson could sneak in and win this championship, but I'm sticking with my preseason prediction. Scott Dixon's winning this championship. It's going to happen. He just knows how to get in these championship wins, and I've said it since the beginning of the season. It's the 7th championship for Scott Dixon, but he's going to have to somehow get past Joseph Newgarden, and I don't know how he's going to do it, but we've seen it before.
The importance of qualifying, it's kind of been the difference right now for Scott Dixon. Yes, everybody's going to point to he didn't do it at the Indianapolis 500 and being 1 mile per hour over and going from probably winning the race, but at least a top 3 finish to finishing 21st. I mean, he told me immediately at the press conference after winning at Nashville, he said, yeah, I lost 76 points that day to Marcus. So, you kind of think about you've got to be able to perform in Indy, which is what has kept Marcus in this conversation. Dixon's going to have to qualify well. Newgarden and Power are always in those first 2 or 3 rows, qualifying well or grabbing the pole as far as, okay, here's an extra point. Let's go lead some laps too, which, as we know, with the difference between 3 back to Newgarden and 11 back to Dixon, that 1 or 2 extra points that you may get for leading laps or qualifying on the top spot, that could go a long way to decide this championship. So if Dixon is going to win this championship, it's either going to have to be he qualifies better than what he has inside of that top 5, or again, he plays some kind of fuel mileage, which could very much happen. Sometimes these road course races at Laguna Seca get real spread out, and you don't see a lot of yellow flags, and all of a sudden, there's Dixon not having a good day, but, he's got enough fuel to make it, and next thing you know, he gets a win or he finishes on the podium. So I think what the 3 of us are all just trying to say is it's going to be a hell of a show, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a fun weekend. But we get the week off from IndyCar. We get some NASCAR. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the wackiness that was Watkins Glen this weekend. It rained all day Sunday, but first we got to talk about Xfinity. Not a whole lot to talk about because 2 drivers dominated the entire damn thing, and those 2 drivers were not Xfinity Series guys, and they had the exact same paint scheme. William Byron and Kyle Larson, Hendrick Motorsports teammates, nominated for their respective teams that they were starting for. Hendrick obviously has been doing that whole road course thing where they are including the 17. In Xfinity, there's a possibility we could see the Hendrick Motorsports having a full-time Xfinity Series car next season. There's been rumors. Nothing's official. But William Byron in that car. And Kyle Larson takes the 88 to victory lane at Watkins Glen this weekend.
In an eventful finish.
In a very eventful finish, racing a charging AJ Allmendinger. And yeah, so that's all I got to say about Xfinity. And it was kind of funny that the exact same 1-2 happened on Sunday. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of rain. This race got delayed 2 hours, did not start until 3:30, I believe. It was supposed to start at 1. And no, wait, I'm sorry, not 3:30. It didn't start till 5:30. It was supposed to start at 3. My bad, New York time. And it was kind of cool to see NASCAR make the right choice and not make the same mistake they made with COTA last year. Because I did not want the race to get started because I did not want to see chaos. And it was just a nice right amount of chaos that we saw. Early in this race, we see Michael McDowell for Front Row Motorsports and Todd Gilliland, his teammate, up front leading races. Todd Gilliland obviously retired due to a axle breaking on his right front.
Yeah, I was so mad about that.
Yeah, Todd was having a good day.
I was upset.
But the top 3 consistently was Michael McDowell, Kyle Larson, and Chase Elliott, the road course king. And if you're here wanting us to talk about Kimi Räikkönen, he was in the top 10 for a solid chunk of this race. F1 champion Kimi Räikkönen, 2007 F1 champion Kimi Räikkönen, making that start for Project 91. Very good race until Chastain, his teammate, dumped Austin Dillon. Räikkönen had nowhere to go, ended up going into the left tire barrier there on the bus stop. Coming down to the final couple of laps, we see Joey Hand for Rick Ware Racing, who actually was putting on a solid top 5 day. Yeah. Just go a little bit too hot into turn 1, hit exactly where Daniel Hemrick had hit the race before in Xfinity. brought out the caution flag, and that set up Kyle Larson making a Kyle Larson move and overdriving turn 1, just like how we saw him do it at Indy, except this time there was no Ty Dillon. There was a teammate, Chase Elliott, there, and that pushed Chase Elliott off the racetrack and ruined his chances of a win. He fell back all the way to 6th place, ended up fighting back to 3rd. This led the race to being between Kyle Larson and AJ Allmendinger. Larson holds off Allmendinger just like he did before, and Larson gets his 2nd win of the season. Crazy to think that Kyle Larson, after a 10-win year, has had an identical thing happen to him of what Chase Elliott had happened in the 2020 to 2021 season. We didn't see Chase Elliott win a whole lot in 2021 after he won 5 races in 2020, only won 2 times and made the championship 4. Could be a thing to come with Kyle Larson. I think he's a championship 4 lock, but he gets his 2nd win of the season.
Remember, in both of his wins, he has shoved Chase Elliott out of the way.
True. That's true. And I think a very respectable interview by Chase Elliott. Tony, I don't know if you tuned into Watkins Glen, but visibly pissed. He forgot what race they were going to next week. He said that they were going to Bristol.
He wanted it to be Bristol.
Oh, yeah. He wanted it to be Bristol. But something that Chase can take out of this weekend is that he is officially the regular season points champion. No one will touch him for the top spot. He is literally leading 2nd place Kyle Larson by 134 points. An incredible consistent year. If this was the Winston Cup era, Chase Elliott would probably already be a lock to win this damn championship. He is on fire. And 4 wins on the year, 240 points in the playoffs, 922 in driver standings. He's going to have himself a very good lead going into the championship.
Oh, yeah. He's gonna be solid. He's gonna be an easy lock for the first at least 2 rounds. So,
however, I will mention it again. It's okay if Chase Elliott does it to people, but it's not okay if Chase Elliott does it if people do it to Chase Elliott, as his fans love to say. This race had a little bit of everything for everyone. It had road course ringers like Mike Rockenfeller, Daniel Kvyat, and Kimi Räikkönen coming over to make starts. We didn't see Boris Said this year, which I was kind of disappointed about. Love that
I wanted to see me some Boris Said.
I wanted to see me some Afro. I wanted to see him dumping people on the final lap like he always does. But, you know, this race had rain. This race had great Watkins Glen racing. As I always say, Watkins Glen is the best road course on the Cup Series schedule. I'd love to see IndyCar go to Watkins Glen.
Honestly, I think the racing was better when the track was wet. I'm not even going to lie to you. Like, I'm not saying the race was boring after the track dried out or whatever, but I think the racing was better when the track was wet.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Those first 50 laps, not even 50, the first
30,
25, 30 laps of the racing was beautiful. Maybe that's just because Michael McDowell was leading, but it was the racing was good. We saw drivers charging up, people in the top 10 you don't normally expect to see in the top 10. It was just a good race overall. I would probably give it an 80%, I'd say, on my personal ranking. But yeah, Tony, did you turn into Watkins Glen at all?
Actually listened to it on the radio on the way back from St. Louis, the old school way, and turn it on right at 5 o'clock and to get ready to roll out. Then obviously everything happened. It just goes to show how great of a driver Kyle Larson is, as we know. It's crazy. So I grew up a Jeff Gordon fan, and you think about the championships that he would have if it wasn't for the playoffs. But that's just kind of the way that they've gone. But yeah, I always said that I'm glad when NASCAR goes back to road courses, and they've obviously have added more. Road America was on the schedule this year. I think it's off next year for that Chicago street course. Yeah. But it turns into Daytona and Bristol, and then add a bunch of left and right turns, and it's chaos. I'm sure the owners don't like it because the sheet metal bill is probably through the roof. But yeah, anytime you got guys like Gilliland and even Räikkönen in his first race up there challenging for top 10s, and McDowell running well, and Allmendinger, it's road courses are the great equalizer, I think, in NASCAR, and you get a lot of drivers that you wouldn't normally see up there contending for the win, and really the only other places you can say that is probably Daytona and Talladega, because you can work the draft or, get a good push from somebody to get up towards the front. And then we've seen some surprise and upset winners there. But, I'm all about more road courses. I mean, look, I preached it years ago. I get sick of another Kansas or another even Texas or another even whatever track that's a 1.5 mile cookie cutter. Let's go to more road courses. So I want more ovals in IndyCar and more road courses in NASCAR.
Well, you seen they're about to blow up Texas Motor Speedway soon, though.
They are about to blow up Texas Motor Speedway. I don't think they have an idea for what they're going to do to Texas Motor Speedway.
I say it's going to be a 3-mile super speedway. That's my prediction. I know that's off the wall, but that's my prediction.
Everything's bigger in Texas. I was about to say that. That's crazy.
That's one of those things where, when Eddie Gossage was there, he was a great promoter of the racetrack, and he really had a good sense of how to get people to the racetrack. And every IndyCar fan is going to say, "Oh, well, NASCAR ruined that track." Yeah, but NASCAR pays most of the bills that are going on at that track. So it is what it is. But yeah, who knows what it'll be. I would like for that to remain an oval. I don't really want to see like a road course, but hell, screw it. Give us a 3-mile high bank track and just go from there.
Yeah, let's go ahead and read through the results for the NASCAR Cup Series race at Watkins Glen. Kyle Larson gets the win. Second place, AJ Allmendinger, the exact same top two, Xfinity and Cup. Craziness. Third place, Joey Logano had a surprising top 3 day. Joey led a little bit early, but very quiet today. Started 20th and drove his way all the way up to third. Fourth place, Chase Elliott. Fifth place, another guy who had a quiet day, Daniel Suarez. Just consistent all day. He's great on road courses now, which is awesome. So top 5 day for him. Sixth place, Michael McDowell continues the best season of his career. Tyler Reddick runs 7th. 8th place, Christopher Bell. 9th place, Chris Buescher. Another top 10 on a road course for Chris Buescher. And 10th place, Eric Jones. That's probably the most unsurprising top 10 at a road course that I've seen in a while, but it just seemed like this race was very consistent all the way around.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. A lot of guys up at the front that you didn't normally see, so I thought it was cool. 11th place was Cole Custer. 12th place, Kevin Harvick. 13th was Austin Cindric. 14th, Alex Bowman. 15th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 16th and 17th was the Dillon brothers of Ty Dillon and Austin Dillon. 18th, Justin Haley. 19th, Brad Keselowski. And 20th was Denny Hamlin. If you were looking for any of the road course ringers, Mike Rockefeller finished 30th. Joey Hand, 31st. Loris Hesman's 33rd. Daniel Kvyat was 36th after a engine problem. 37th was Kimi Räikkönen after an accident, and Kyle Tilley was finished last after a steering issue for Live Fast Motorsports. This was a fun race. I really enjoyed it, but we got a little bit of another chaotic race coming up next week at Daytona. But let's take a little bit of a break from race reviews. This was a pretty good edition. Let's go ahead and go into Motorsport Media. All right, so let's go ahead and start with Motorsport Media. I'm going to start with NASCAR, get your guys' reaction to some of these announcements. We'll start on the Xfinity Series side. Josh Williams, during our bye week, guys, Josh Williams officially resigned from BJ McLeod Motorsports. Now, when he signed with BJ McLeod, I really thought that this was going to be a step up for Josh Williams in his career. Obviously, he made some cup starts for Live Fast Motorsports, but he has officially parted ways from the team and has gone back to his old team that he was with in 2020 and 2021, DGM Racing, and him will partner for Daytona. So Williams is back with his friends. Hopefully Josh gets a good run with his old team. The Nemecheks, John Hunter Nemechek and Joe Nemechek, will both be running at Daytona for Sam Hunt Racing. Sam Hunt normally a one-car operation with the 26. We've seen John Hunter make some starts in that car, getting top 10, top 5's been good for him. But Joe Nemechek will run his first first Xfinity race, in 3 years, driving the 24 for Sam Hunt. It's always cool to get to see a father and son duo run in the same race. Not only this, but for the Sam team. I think that's kind of cool. Joe Nemechek, a driver that kind of ran in your era right there, Tony. Mm-hmm. So it's a
crazy cool about that. Is back in June, like a couple weeks after the 500, they have like the vintage weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway where there's all these different cars from old NASCARs, old Indy cars to sports cars. And Joe Nemechek was out running like his 2001 Cup car. So and now he's going to be making another Xfinity start. Yeah, that's crazy. I wonder how many different drivers in that Xfinity field that you could combine their ages and still wouldn't be older than Joe Nemechek. So, yeah, good for him. I mean, front row Joe, maybe he'll get another front row spot.
That's what I was about to say. Let's see if Joe can put it on the front row. Chris Wright and Brandonbilt Motorsports have partnered on a part-time schedule for the remainder of the season. Brandon Brown and Brandonbilt are trying to put sponsorship in that car. Kind of difficult for Brandon Brown as of recently with all of the political side of things that have been going on over the last year for him to get sponsorship. Chris Wright brings sponsorship to that team. He just recently has stepped away from Nice Motorsports after he put the truck in the wall every week. So gets a promotion, I guess, to the Xfinity Series. He's going to be running 9 out of the final 12 races of the season. Just made his debut at Watkins Glen. I don't remember where he finished, but I'm going to assume it was sub-30s. Let's find out. Yeah, he finished 34th. So that's Chris Wright for you. He brings sponsorship to the car. I don't really know if he'll do well. My prediction is he won't. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Ricky Stenhouse is going to run for Big Machine Racing this weekend at Daytona. Ricky Stenhouse, one of the best super speedway drivers in all of NASCAR. So you put him in an Xfinity car and a Big Machine Racing car, which in my opinion is A-tier equipment. He's going to do well. So hopefully that's a good run. Going over to the Cup Series side, Justin Marks announced this on Saturday that the Project 91 car will be ran at 6 to 8 races next season. Possible drivers for this car, it will be a superstar car, include IndyCar's Helio Castroneves and Marcus Ericsson. We could see both of them possibly making a start next season, along with, this is the most interesting one, F1's Jenson Button could be making a start for Project 91. Jay, what's your opinion on Jenson Button possibly getting a Cup start?
Hey, whatever that guy wants to do, he can do. So that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say.
What do you think over there, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, this will be a cool car that, there'll be a lot of good sponsorships tied to it because you're going to have big name drivers in there. I do think Elio will run the Daytona 500. I don't know if we will actually see Marcus Ericsson in that car. I just don't know if he, do you really put him in there over some of these other guys? Elio makes sense, he's an Indianapolis 500 winner and whatnot. But, we'll see. I'm looking forward to that. And who knows who else will be up Trackhouse's sleeve over there to get somebody else in that car.
Yeah, Marcus was, I don't know if that was just an NBC Twitter thing, but he was very positive of the whole Project 91 and NBC's broadcast. So possible maybe we see Ericsson in that car. Now, I don't really know what to report on the Eric Almirola situation because Jim Utter reported that he was back with SHR for 2023. But then on Saturday, Bob Chris reported that Eric Almirola has not signed anything yet. So another jumping the gun of Jim Utter. Is Eric Almirola back next season? Is he staying retired? My opinion, he's back in the 10 next season. Smithfield and SHR are going to sweeten the deal. I think Jay thinks that Eric Almirola is back next season. He's been saying it pretty much since the beginning of the year.
My prediction is he goes back for one more year and Kyle Busch ends up at the 41. I don't care what people say about the 41. Kyle Busch will end up there because I say so.
It's going to be a crazy one. Kurt Busch, the other Busch brother, he's going to miss the remainder of the regular season. Ty Gibbs will fill in. Kurt Busch obviously on concussion protocol after his incident at Pocono. This will be his 6th race this upcoming weekend that he has missed. He is granted a playoff waiver, but something I noticed on NBC's broadcast is that he's not officially locked into the playoffs anymore, which is crazy. I think now officially he is locked in. And we'll see another winner next week or Ryan Blaney if he keeps that spot, but Kurt Busch will be granted a playoff waiver. And finally, he was not supposed to run in the Colleague 16 this weekend, but he is. Daniel Hemrick's going to be in the Colleague 16. It was supposed to be Noah Gragson, but they're going to give that ride to Hemrick instead. So that's all the NASCAR stuff I have. Jay, you want to go over to F1?
Yeah, we sure can. I got a few things for Formula E and one thing for MotoGP and one thing for F1. There's not much F1 news from the past couple of weeks, but this from Formula E was from 2 weeks ago. Stoffel Van Dorn won his first Formula E championship, so congrats to him. As always, news is from Project Dive Bomb, so shout out to them.
PDB.
Yeah. And then the next thing is Antonio Felix da Costa is joining Porsche for the Formula E 2023 season. So that's very interesting. Next we have Lucas Di Grassi is going to race for Mahindra in 2023 for Formula E. Now MotoGP, for anybody that listens that kind of follows MotoGP, they're going to introduce sprint races in every round of the 2023 season. So I'm assuming it's going to be kind of a similar process to F1, of course, but every round of the season. So interesting. And then the one, I guess, kind of like, it's not really big, like breaking news, but Antonio Giovinazzi is going to drive an FP1 for Haas at Monza and Coda. So this is what kind of ties me in to Mick Schumacher is leaving Haas, because they're bringing Giovinazzi in. Giovinazzi has past F1 experience. Are we gonna see Giovinazzi in the Haas hot seat? Is that what we're gonna see there, Tristan?
You know, I think Mick Schumacher is going to Alpine. I think that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying Daniel Ricciardo, but I don't think Ricciardo will be in F1 next season. I think all signs point to Schumacher going to Alpine as of recently. So yeah, I think Giovinazzi could be a definite contender for that Haas season next season. Obviously, past experience in F1, he raced two or three seasons full time in F1, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd be perfectly fine seeing Giovinazzi return. Tony, do you think Mick Schumacher is a lock for Alpine?
I'll go with you guys and say yes. I don't follow probably Formula One as much.
Got it.
Okay. Let me give you a hypothetical here. Who is more likely to be in the Indianapolis 500 next year, Daniel Ricciardo or Kyle Busch?
Kyle Busch.
For sure.
I think that Kyle Busch could definitely, maybe not full season next year, but don't be surprised if Kyle steps over and has a chance to run Indianapolis 500 in a pretty good car.
True.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a possible team, like a third or a fourth car for, like, say a Penske step in, or maybe we see a 22, like they bring the 22 back, kind of like we saw with AJ Allmendinger. Or we see kind of the Kurt Busch situation that we saw back in 2014 when Kurt did the double. So I would not be surprised if we saw Kyle in the 500. But yeah, I could also see Daniel Ricciardo in the 500, but he's mentioned in the past that he doesn't like ovals. And if you don't like ovals, you don't go to IndyCar. So that's pretty much all I got that's what I got to say about that. So Jerry, you finished with F1?
Yeah,
and
F1.
All your news over there.
That's all I got.
All right, so I only got two little things for IndyCar since we've talked about most of it already. I had to eliminate some of it off here, but the first thing that was announced today, Tony, I want to get your opinion on this, is that Andretti's moving to right down my house to Fishers, moving their shop from Zionsville to Fishers. A beautiful display of their track. I don't want to hear that Andretti doesn't have money ever again, because that is a gigantic facility for their IndyCar program, keeping it
90
local
acres.
in Indy. 90 acres, that is insanity. We'll definitely be taking a shop visit whenever it gets built. What did it say on the article? It's not going to be up until 2025, I believe that was what it said. But that's a super cool for me. I mean, we've heard of some race shops possibly moving to Fishers. Andretti's been in Zionsville for years. We could possibly see some other teams move down here, so that's all fine with me, as long as I get to see more race stuff around my house. I think it's pretty cool. And then second thing, as we mentioned earlier, that Malukas is kind of keeping his contracts and options open for 2023. Could we see him in Chip Ganassi Racing? Could we see him stay with Dale Coyne and HMD? I think those are really the only two options I would say for the American-Lithuanian driver. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for Motorsport Media, guys. As we always do, let's end the show with some predictions. All right, so we got 5 possible points this weekend. But first, let's do a little bit of a recap from last week. Jay, tell us who got points. Tell us who didn't. You just want it back so bad. He did it. Wave the flag. Oh my God, he did it. Wave the Jimmy Johnson Carvana flag. Should have trusted you. I should have trusted you. Another 0-point weekend for Daniel Chaney. We love to see it. And he can't fight me because he's not here. I would love to. So we got 3 races this weekend. NASCAR, Xfinity, and Cup Series are at the Great American Racetrack, the Daytona International Speedway. And then F1 is going to be doing the Belgium GP. So, Tony, you've been here before. You know how this works. For the NASCAR Cup Series, we do 2 picks. For Xfinity, we do 1 pick. And then for F1, we do the podium in order. So we'll go ahead and start with the Xfinity Series at Daytona. We do 1 pick. I'm going with Justin Allgaier this weekend. A little bit of a boring pick, as I always like to say. Daniel always says that Justin Allgaier is a boring pick. But hey, he's having a great year. 3 wins already. I could see a 4th one at Daytona. He's great on super speedways. Don't be surprised if we don't see that 7 car in victory lane. Jay.
Well, I really want to pick Joe Nemechek, but we know that's not probably going to be.
Hey, Sam Hunt is good equipment. They partner with Joe Gibbs Racing, so could be a possibility, but I don't see front row Joe taking this one.
It's probably the low-hanging fruit, but I'll go Noah Gragson this weekend.
Hey, it's a good pick. He's great at Daytona. Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry, let me pull it up really quick. So, yeah, Daniel Chaney is currently without voice and currently with COVID. This weekend, he's picking Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for the Xfinity Series. He's doing a one-off for Big Machine Racing. Ricky is obviously won here in the Cup Series, so not a bad pick. Justin Haley doing a one-off this weekend in the Xfinity Series in the Kaulig 14. As we mentioned earlier, in previous episodes, we could see Kaulig with a 4th full-time car in Xfinity next season. Let's go ahead and move on to Cup. We do 2 picks. Me and Daniel Chaney both have the exact same picks. First pick, Ryan Blaney. Second pick, Bubba Wallace. It's going to be one of those 2, in my opinion. Ryan Blaney is hungry, and he wants a win. I picked Ryan Blaney to win the championship at the beginning of the season, and he is having a great year. 3rd currently in driver's points, and as he stands on the playoff ranking, he's at a possibility of missing the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs next season. He just signed a big extension with Penske. He's not going anywhere, but Ryan Blaney's going to get a win this weekend. But my second pick is Bubba Wallace, just because it's Bubba Wallace on the Super Speedway. He is a top 3 Super Speedway driver in the NASCAR Cup Series today. He is a threat always at Daytona, always at Talladega and Atlanta, the 3 Super Speedways. You got to put him there, and he's going to be in contention. I don't know if Wallace gets the win this weekend, but after the best, I'd say a good season for that 23 team. Not a great one. After a good season, I could see Wallace getting into victory lane this weekend. So, Tony, who's your picks?
Do you guys think there should be a provisional for somebody who's in top 5 in the points who doesn't get a win should get a provisional into the playoffs, even if they start the playoff 16th?
Hey, if Jeff Gordon can get added to the playoffs in 24, like the added to the chase in 2013, NASCAR can pretty much make up whatever freaking rules they want. But I'd love to see a lock spot for Ryan. I think Ryan Blaney should be in the playoffs. Like, that's stupid.
We know that NASCAR loves like the chaos and the craziness, right, and the WWE style. So my 2 picks are going to be dark horses that, may not be the picks going in, but with 5 or 10 laps to go, they're sitting there 5th or 3rd. You'd say, yeah, you know what? I'm not surprised by that. And that's Eric Almirola and Michael McDowell.
Not surprising. That's great picks. Eric Almirola, great on super speedways. Michael McDowell, incredible on super speedways. Those 2 guys are great. Michael McDowell is having the best season of his career. He has more top 10s than William Byron this season. And you put that as front row equipment versus Hendrick frickin' Motorsports equipment. I would not be surprised to see Michael McDowell in that seat. And here's the thing, Tony. I don't know if you know. Me, Jay, and Daniel all have a driver that if they win throughout the Cup Series season, we get a point for, and mine's Michael McDowell. So, hey, I'll be pulling for a McDowell win as well.
I like it.
Jay, who you picking this week for Cup? Who's making the playoffs? Oh, yeah, that's a good pick. I'm thinking you're going to... Do you know who I honestly think you're going to pick? Chris Buescher. That's my pick. Damn, I'm good! That's a... I'm sorry, Christopher Buescher. My bad. Christopher Buescher. Did you see that on Twitter, Tony?
Yeah, it's funny. So, about when did he win? Did he win the Xfinity title in like 14 or 15 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
And
Probably 15 because his rookie season in Cup was 16.
yeah, I kept calling him Chris Buescher, and he's like, "That's not how you pronounce my name." And I was like, "All right, dude. Well, have fun finishing 14 the rest of your life."
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Chris Buescher in victory lane. All right, Jay, take us through Belgium. Bah.
Mhm.
I can't remember. Now, I'm going to treat this as this race is going to get rained out again. That's how I'm treating this, and if it does, I think George Russell gets his first win of his F1 career with or without rain. He can qualify on this track. He qualified P2 here last season in frickin' Williams equipment. Like, that's crazy. And I think we could see George Russell getting his first Grand Prix win in F1 this weekend. And I think behind him is his teammate, Lewis Hamilton. I think we see a Mercedes 1-2. And in third place, I think Mercedes has been working their asses off throughout summer break. And I think that we could see them come out and have a great Great showing at Spa. But my third pick for third place is the points leader. You have to put him in there. Maxwell Verstappen. No. I think Super Max is going to have a good run. I don't think he's going to have winning speed, but I think he's definitely a lock for third. Of course. So, Daniel, he's picking George Russell to win as well. His second place is going to be Max Verstappen, and third place is Sir Lewis Hamilton. So, same three people in the podium. As I mentioned, me and Daniel's picks are very similar this week. So, yeah.
Give me Verstappen to win. I'll go George Russell, and I'll go I like the Hamilton pick. I think that it's time for him to get back up on that podium. So I'm down for that.
Here comes Jay's Ferrari pick. Wow, I'm surprised. There it is. There's the Ferrari pick. That is the first time this season that we have all four of us that technically had Hamilton on the podium. Facts.
Let's see. Since Daytona is so crazy, and you're gonna have a lot of guys trying desperately to get a win. Let's go with the Cup Series.
Okay.
So tough, right? Because it's this and road courses are the races where 20 to 25 guys legitimately have a chance to win.
Guaranteed.
All right, so I'll go. Give me Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to cause a wreck.
Oh, okay. To cause a wreck, got it.
Cause a wreck, and why not? I mean, guy who we haven't talked about is in the middle of this contract situation. What about Kyle Busch?
Hey, I like it. I like it. We love having new drivers that we haven't picked for the group pick. And for the listeners, if you guys don't know how the group pick works, if we hit on the group pick, everyone gets 5 points. So there you go. It's a good pick there, Tony.
It is.
Gonna be cheering for KFB this weekend. He's gonna need it too. He's had a very, I hate to compare him to it, but he's had a very Joey Logano-esque year. So I know Kyle Busch would hate me doing that comparison, but he's had a very Logano year.
Don't let him hear that.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and end this episode. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for listening to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. If you guys want to just give us a nice little hit on that subscribe button, that'd be awesome. Or you guys can follow us on all of our social medias at Indy Boys Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our socials have been doing very well. I appreciate the support as always, guys. Go ahead and rate us on all of our podcast networks. Those are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Also, shout out to Tony Donohue, the host of the IndyCar show. You guys can check him out on Burnout Sports, and you guys can check him out pretty much everywhere in the Burnout Sports YouTube channel. His social links, Tony D Indy, are going to be in the description. So yeah, Tony, anything you got to shout out before you head out?
Yeah, I just appreciate you guys having me on, and keep up the good work on your guys' podcast and throughout all social media channels. And should be an entertaining weekend of racing here coming up, and hopefully we can cash in on some of those picks, or at least cash in on that group pick.
Yeah, let's hope. And speaking of cashing in on those picks, you make sure you guys check out Burnout Bets, which is another Burnout Sports show that Tony is a part of. If you guys like sports betting, definite show that you guys need to check out. Tony is a big fan of sports betting, and sometimes all he talks about. So fantasy football's coming up soon, so you know Tony's going to be all over that.
I'm in.
All right, guys. For Daniel Chaney, Justin Cox, and Tony Donohue for Burnout Sports in the Marion Phoenix, my name is Tristan Grider. Have a good one, guys. Let's go racing. Peace!